Jude Bellingham. Hey, Jude. You know, we've talked about him a lot on this channel. I feel like if you're an absolute original of the channel, he's slowly becoming the Florian Newhouse, where we just absolutely rinse him. But there's been another update, so we might as well bring you there. Build Sport have said that the two main suitors of Liverpool are currently currently Real Madrid and Liverpool. They are watching his development closely. The article also goes on to say that Jude Bellingham is massively becoming a fan favourite at Dortmund after he was the only player to stay and clap the fans after they got hammered by Leipzig 4-1. And he's also rated at 100 million euros. Jay, it's a lot of money for an 18-year-old, isn't it? Do you think he's worth that 100 million?
Yeah, he is, mate. When you consider the level he's playing at his age and how long he's been doing it, he's been playing it. This is third season at Dortmund now. Second, isn't it?
Second, I think, yeah. Might be third, actually. I don't know. Second or third.
Yeah, so, it's not as if he's a one-season wonder, but the thing for me is his maturity. I don't know if you've seen him in his interviews. That the lad just talks brilliantly. Everything about the kid oozes class.
Dortmund are in the same report. Actually, Dortmund are planning to move him to a leadership role next season within the club. So,
see, at his age to be getting something like that at a club like Dortmund says everything you need to know about the kid, really, doesn't it? It's mad actually because I've always been a critic of Keita. And I've thought we should get rid of him, not give him a new contract. So last week, I was thinking we should be going to Dortmund and saying, rather than 100 mil, is 40, 50, 60 in Keita. And it sounds mad, but Keita impressed me that much against City that I want to try and just give him the benefit of the doubt and try and get a run on the side, because I thought he was brilliant against City, and I'm a critic of him, to be fair.
Oh, and the perfect deal is we throw Oxlade-Chamberlain there, get 20 million, isn't it? I doubt Dortmund will take that, but you never know. You're worth a try, isn't it?
I'd hope they watch football, to be honest, if they would accepted that.
Yeah, but 100 mil, it's a lot of money. I think it's about 80 million pound, which is what's being quoted by a lot of people. And we have saw in the past, though, with Dortmund, they did it with Sancho, where they put that 115 million price tag or whatever it was on him, and it eventually dropped to 75 million. So we can negotiate with them, but do you just spend the 80 million so nobody else can sign him? Real Madrid are interested in him, Manchester United were originally interested in him, and Chelsea as well have been linked with him. So it's not like we're the only club fighting for his signature.
I wouldn't go for him if I'm being totally honest. It screams a Man United, Chelsea, that sort of signing. And I don't know, I feel like there's better alternatives elsewhere. You don't need to go and spend that sort of money. You see what Man City doing with Haaland, players with that sort of wages as well. I just don't think it would work well at Liverpool. I think it would be against what Klopp would want, at least. I don't think Klopp would go for it. An 18-year-old, that sort of money as well. I just think there's better players elsewhere for the money. And I just think we need to work more smart. See Fabio Carvalho. I think we should be looking at more deals in that sort of structure. And obviously, you're not going to get a player that cheap of someone's quality of Bellingham. But you're not going to say we make superstars, not buy them at Liverpool.
Do you agree with that, Matty? I mean, I don't think he's reached his full potential yet at Dortmund, has he? There's still more to give, and could Klopp extract that from him?
Liverpool will spend money if they want to spend money. They've got the money there. Look at Alisson, Van Dijk. When they've wanted someone, they'll go and spend that big money. So it's not like we haven't done it before, and it's not like it hasn't paid off before either. But Jude Bellingham's a freak. He was playing in the Bundesliga when he was 16, and if you go just looking at his stats, he's probably statistically the closest thing to Steven Gerrard Liverpool could get, and he's 18. And if you don't spend £80 million on him, even 10 years at Liverpool, still only makes it 28 and he's in his prime. You're getting a 10, 15-year midfielder for that amount of money. It's stupid, and I think 80 million is an absolute steal for him. I thought he was going to be even more than that, and I don't think he's going to come in and say I want 300 grand a week either. He's only had 2 good years in Dortmund. It's not like he's world class. He's not going to come in and say I want paying more than Mo Salah. we're speaking about his maturity. He knows he's not going to get that money. And I think if Liverpool are in the race for Jude Bellingham, Liverpool will get Jude Bellingham. Family of Liverpool fans, he idolise Steven Gerrard, and I just can't. You just know that when he hits that ball, he's screaming Gerrard in his head, because everyone was when he was kicking. He's probably still doing it. So he's got it. If Liverpool want him, Liverpool get him, and I genuinely believe we won. But it won't be this year. It'll be next season.
Yeah.
Jen, appreciate it as usual. Unbelievable support on the channel from you, so thank you very much. Jay, one thing I do want to mention though with him, that price tag 80 million. We know that Liverpool's sweet spot is 40 million for a lot of players. We've seen it with Jota, we've seen it with Diaz. Naby Keita was 50-ish and 60 plus with add-ons. Salah was 34. Mane was 34. It is a growing trend here, but as Matty said, we have seen it with other players, but them players were fully established world-class players at the time. Alisson was considered one of the best keepers in the world, even while he was at Roma, and Virgil van Dijk was still considered the best centre-back in the Premier League at the time when we spent that money on him. So, 80 million, do you think there's a bit of English tax going on there? We've seen it with Declan Rice's, that sounds weird in my head, price recently. But, that price is only going to go up too, isn't it, if he keeps on performing like he is?
Well, that's the thing, mate. With him, I think Matty hit the nail on the head, to be honest. 80 million for someone as young as him isn't breaking the bank, and he doesn't strike me as the type of kid who's going to come in and say, I want 400 grand a week. For me, he looks grounded. He knows he's 19. He knows he has to earn his stripes. And he might be English tax on it in terms of 80 million, but the numbers I've seen for Declan Rice, mate, are nearly double that. And Declan Rice isn't even as good as Bellingham now. He's years older than him. The other thing about you saying the 40 mils for Mane, Diaz, Salah and that, they were all like 24, 25. Bellingham's got another 5 years in him. Ahead of that, if you get me. So Bellingham would have played 5 years for us, and he'd still only be the age that these lads were when they were coming in. So imagine the level of play he'd have then. The other thing is as well, you're not going to lose money on Bellingham. If you sell him in 5, 6, 7, 8 years, he's going to be worth well more than 80 million. So again, I don't think it'll be this season, like Matty said, but yeah, it's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah. Oh, and the one place that we are struggling with a little bit is that right centre midfield role, and that's what he plays perfectly for Dortmund. And he can play every position in that midfield basically, which we know that Klopp loves. He can play DM, he can play that box to box, he can play the 8, he can play the 10 if needed. He's just an all-round versatile player, and the fact that he's an English international already, as Jay said there, even if you do sell him, you're going to be getting at least what you paid for him, if not double. And also to it, I forgot what I was going to say there, so I'll just go off there. But yeah, it does seem it seems like a Liverpool buy when you add all that together, doesn't it? I know you said you don't want him, but logistically, it just, I don't know, it makes too much sense for me that he's not going to play for us one day.
Yeah, I think one day it could happen. But nowadays that these young players are having agents around them telling them how good they are, how they're worth all this money. So look, I don't know. Hopefully Bellingham would be different and say, "Nah, I know kind of my worth," but I think he would probably be listening to his agent and thinking, "Yeah, I could be getting as much money as possible," and to get that money, he'd be going to the likes of Man City or Chelsea or those sort of teams. So yeah, if he wanted to come to Liverpool, and I think he is a Liverpool fan. So look, if he wanted to come to us any day of the week, we take him. But I think, yeah, what you said though about the investment, it is true. I think having him at the club, 10 years time, he's going to be worth so much more, and it is a no-brainer in that sense. But it's just kind of not as simple as that, and it is quite complicated.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure his agent is actually his dad. I think
isn't he with that playmaker group thing with Robbo and Trent as well, which is Trent's brother? I've
just tried to search it up and I can't actually find it, and it's usually on Transfer Market or the agents, and if it doesn't say it, I think it's usually the family who deal with it. I know his dad is heavily involved with his son's football careers, So it might be, but I don't think he's got a crazy agent like Mina Raiola. And, you know, at the end of this year, it's all going to be changed anyway with the 3%. So I don't think agents are going to be a massive issue. But I just remembered what I was going to say. Matty, you know, I hate it when that happens, man. We're looking at players now. We're getting onto the age of 36, 38, and they're still producing, you know, unbelievable performances. You look at Cristiano Ronaldo, even though we don't like him, you know, you've got to admire the age that he is and the level he's performing. James Milner too, even though he has slowed down, it was only 2-3 years ago that he was in the Liverpool squad pretty much every week and putting in 7 out of 10s every single game. You know, Jude Bellingham's 18. We honestly could be looking at a 20-year career ahead of him for 80 million. And if he loves Liverpool, you know, why can't he play at Liverpool for 20 years at a top level? It's not out of this world to think that, is it, Matty?
No. And that's why it makes sense, to be honest. That'd work out at what, about 4 million a year, something like that, off the transfer fee. So he's the type of player. If you let him go to something like Real Madrid or that now, to then obtain him in 2 or 3 more years, it's going to cost you double that. He's generational. He's one of them generational players. He's in the bracket of your Mbappe's and Neymar's, where they're just going to cost silly money eventually in their career. And I think that appeals to FSG as well, to be fair. That's where they'd look at him, because they know he's going to be, if they were skint and needed to sell someone quick, they like big assets, and he's a big asset.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think a lot of people are in agreement that he will play for Liverpool one day. When that day comes, who knows? He could be 25. You never know.